Hello, students. Welcome to the third module. In this module, we are going to learn the term Imagism. Imagism was a poetic vogue, it's not only term, that flourished in England and even more vigorously in America. Between the years 1912 and 1917, it was planned and exemplified by a group of English and American writers in London. Partly under the influence of the poetic theory of T. Hume as a revolt against what is Ezra Pound called, quote, rather blurry, messy, sentimentalistic, mannerish, unquote, poetry at the turn of the century. Pound, the first leader of the movement, was soon succeeded by Emil Lowell. After that, Pound sometimes referred to the movement slightingly as Imagism. Other leading participants for a time were D.H. Lawrence, William Carlos Williams, John Gould Fletcher, and Richard Eldington. The Imagist proposals, as voiced by Emmy Noble in her preface to the first of three anthologies called Some Imagist Poets, were for a poetry which, abandoning conventional poetic materials and versification, is free to choose any subject and to create its own rhythms and presents an image or vivid sensory description that is hard, clear, and concentrated. The typical Imagist poem is written in free verse and undertakes to render as precisely and tertiary as possible and without comment or generalization the writer's impression of a visual object or scene. Often the impression is rendered by means of metaphor or by juxtaposing without indicating a relation the description of one object with that of a second and diverse object. Now I would like to share a very famed example by Ezra Pound exceeds other images, poems in the degree of its concentration. Have a look. Apparition of these faces in the crowd, petals on a wet black bow. This line has been taken from in a station of the metro. The first noun, the apparition, condenses the bi-directional tension of this poem. The word ranges between its trans-realist meaning of a spectre or a ghost and its meaning of a sudden or unusual sight, a realist observation. These faces in the crowd is a realist evocation of urban multiplicity. Petals on a wet black bow is the phrase which vividly shows the elegance of life and meanwhile show the impermanence of human life. Impermanence of human life. Petals are found in nature in various vibrant colors which represents different human faces, you all know. And the petals that lie in the wet, the petals that lie in the wet black bow symbolizes the transitoriness of the life, impermanence of the life. In this poem, Pound, like a number of other images, was influenced by the Japanese haiku. We need to understand. And the impact of this imagism was, I'll let you know in the next slide, because imagism was too restrictive to endure long as concerted movement, but it served to inaugurate a distinctive feature of a modernist poetry. This was the impact. Almost every major poet from the 1920s through the middle of the present century, including W.B. Yeats, T.S. Eliot, and Wallace Stevenson, manifests some influence by the Imagist experiments with the representation of precise, clear images that are juxtaposed without specifying their interrelations. So I hope you all have understood the history, the style, and the impact of Imagism in the literature. See you in the next module with the next topic of symbolism. Thank you, everyone, for listening to me very patiently. Thank you once again.